Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Mysteries of Hyrule podcast, where we talk lore, theories, and speculation. As always, if you have any questions or you just want to talk with us and discuss some Zelda lore, you can join the Discord linked below, or you can email us at mysteriesofhyrule@gmail.com. And we're going to go ahead and hop straight into it, as this is part 2 of our Downfall Timeline explanation, continuing off of the last episode. So last episode we covered all the way up from Link's death at the end of Ocarina of Time, all the way up to Link's awakening and that incarnation of Link's retirement after the events of those games and genociding an entire island and killing hundreds. So not the best final note for Link Linky Boy there.
Yeah.
Could definitely be better. As we're seeing, as we continue to see a trend in this timeline, the trend is that this timeline sucks. Link died, Ganon got resurrected, millions of people got genocided, and then millions of people got genocided again. So, definitely not the best version.
This is the best timeline. I don't want to live in this timeline.
Are you sure about that?
Pretty sure.
Okay, we say so. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump straight into it, explaining the events of A Link Between Worlds 100 years after the events of A Link to the Past onwards. And our co-host Connor here knows a lot more about the 3DS games than I do. So I'm going to go ahead and let him take the steering.
A Link Between Worlds. Can you believe that? What a bum host.
Hey, I've played it. I just haven't beat it.
Yeah. But starts with Link having a nightmare, and then he wakes up to the blacksmith's son, I don't remember his name, calling for him, because Link overslept again.
Classic Link.
Classic Link. And Link, and he runs into the departed captain as he's going to see what the blacksmith wants, which the captain was picking up his new sword, and
since I haven't played through all of A Link Between Worlds, I'm going to kind of bug you every now and again for questions. So, I did play through all the way through the first dungeon, but do you want to remind me what was the nightmare he was having?
It was something about him facing down a dark, shadowy figure.
Okay, so probably
it wasn't stated what figure exactly it was, I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
from what I remember. It probably was supposed to be Yuga. But
Yuga or Ganon or something like that.
Yeah, one of those two.
Plot twist.
I don't.
It's the same Link in Triforce Heroes, right?
No.
No. Oh, I thought they were the same Link.
I don't think so.
Are you sure?
Maybe it is. But
Hold on.
I'm maybe.
I'm already going off on a tangent. Which Link is in Triforce Heroes? The Link in Triforce Heroes is the same Link from A Link Between Worlds.
Okay.
It takes place a few years later. Okay, so yeah, it is the same Link.
I couldn't remember. I thought it wasn't. I thought it was like its own special Link, but.
Yeah, so the green Link specifically, not the red or blue, but the green Link is the same as the Link from A Link Between Worlds.
Yeah. Well.
So maybe his nightmare was of whatever her name is from Triforce Heroes, the lady, I think she's called.
I don't remember.
That's
Triforce Heroes is not a very memorable story.
What do you mean? That's the second best Zelda game, third best Zelda game, right behind the CDI games and Link's Crossbow Training.
I have a big hate for Triforce Heroes. I have the biggest hate boner if I've read out of any Zelda game. Because I don't hate any Zelda game outside of Triforce Heroes.
Alright, well, we'll go ahead and let you continue because we're already 5 minutes in.
And so, but as I was saying, where he runs into the captain who's departing from the blacksmith, the captain forgot his sword, which is what a silly guy. And so then Link is tasked with returning it to the captain, which is revealed to Link that the captain went to visit the sanctuary before returning to his duties, which then Link arrives at the sanctuary, where he sees Dampé and one of the sages talking together, and then the sage, I don't remember the sage, I think it's like Ceres, I don't know, the sages' names are a little confusing in this game. I think think it's Ceres. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Hold
Offers
on.
to
Real
wants to
quick,
get,
if I may.
yeah.
So, if I remember correctly, and from what I'm understanding, Hyrule in this game is far more lively and kind of repairing itself compared to the past. And A Link to the Past is like still like basically dead from the events of Ocarina of Time, and we don't get to see it again until this game. So from between A Link to the Past and this game, it sounds like the army is kind of built itself, the monarchy is kind of back, the sages are kind of back.
Yeah, the sages are back. It's mostly chill in Hyrule. Until obviously.
So you could say Hyrule is potentially entering its golden age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's especially I think in Echo's Wisdom that further.
Yeah, like A Link Between Worlds and Echoes of Wisdom is the golden age mentioned in Zelda 2 potentially.
I think so. They at least give that vibe to me.
Yeah.
But anyways, Ceres offering to give the sword to the captain to take it, which then she goes into the sanctuary with it, and the door's shut behind her, and then they hear screaming, which then Dampe. Oh wait, no, Ceres didn't take the sword inside her. That's right. She just went inside to get him to come out. So I don't know why Link didn't just go in there. If you think about it, it's a little. But anyway.
It's like the whole boat thing in Link's Awakening. Like, well, why did Link take his own boat?
Exactly. Plot continues. So Dampe tells Link about a secret way into the sanctuary, which he goes through there, and he finds Ceres and the captain being attacked by Yuga, which then Yuga casts some sort of spell on Ceres to transform her into a painting, which I believe then the captain is turned into a painting on the wall.
Now.
And then Link gets knocked unconscious, and Yuga flees. What's up?
I'm going to say this right now, and this is why I'm not doing the Link Between Worlds segment. All of the lore I know on Yuga comes from Hyrule Warriors. Because Yuga was in that game, and he's actually a pretty goated character with a badass theme.
And Yuga's some sort of sorcerer, dark sorcerer guy. I don't fully remember too much about Yuga.
Again, this is information coming from Hyrule Warriors, so it could either be like an assumption or completely false, or maybe it's accurate. But Yuga is the low rule equivalent of Ganondorf, isn't he, /she?
Maybe.
Like, he's got.
I don't know. I know some sort of. All I remember is some sort of sorcerer from.
And he's got the markings of Ganondorf, or like of the Gerudo. He kind of looks like Ganondorf, but like other than visually and having some similar markings, I don't know if there's a connection or if it's stated anywhere that he is like low rules Ganondorf.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I won't say that he is, but I won't say that he isn't.
Alright, I'm sorry. Got something in my throat.
Then Link, while unconscious, he awakens in his house again. This time, Ravio's waking him up, which is this hooded merchant with a bunny thing, with a bunny hood, and face covering his eyes, and he gives Link this strange magical bracelet. And after Link tells Ravio what happened in the sanctuary, and Ravio's like, "Yo, you should go tell Zelda what happened." And Link goes up and gets the attention of Impa, and Impa brings Link directly to the princess, and Zelda recognizes Link from dreams that she's had and gives him the Pendant of Courage. Very similar to, Ocarina of Time. That's what at least it reminded me of. Which, and then she tells him that... Oh, yeah.
I wonder if... I'm going to cut you off for a second here, if you don't mind. I wonder if the pendants that we see in A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds are the same as the spiritual stones in Ocarina of Time. Because in all three instances, there are 3 stones of the same color, all being used to get the Master Sword.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wonder if that's a connection. I also wonder. I have an episode idea.
I bet that was inspired off of, at least inspired off of Rock.
Yeah, it's at least inspired, if not, actually the same. Another thing. This is something I want to go to in a future episode, so definitely not going to be diving in today. I wonder if the spiritual stones are the secret stones, or at least versions of them. I don't know. Very interesting. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, okay. So, what was it? Great. Pendant of Courage. And then Link goes to visit the elder of Kakricho Village, Sahasra.
Yeah,
That
yes, I
person,
agree.
that person.
That
Which
person.
then, upon meeting them and telling him about Yuga, Sahasa, they just call him Sahasa.
You can
Sahasa
just call him
tells
the
him,
light sage. You
yeah,
can
the
call
light
him Discount Raru.
tells him to go warn his student Osfala.
The names in this game are great. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. Who is a
They
descendant
were
of one of the
naming the
seven
character and
sages.
decided, what should we name this character? And then a cat walked across the keyboard, and they're like, perfect
Literally
name.
how bad it is. Which then Link goes to the Eastern Palace, meets him, and is like, "Hey, be careful of Yuga." And Osfa is like, "Ah, I don't gotta worry about that. I'm too good. Yuga can't catch me." And then after navigating through the palace, Link sees Yuga turn Osfa into a painting.
That tracks.
I guess Yuga could. Yeah, I guess Yuga could catch him. Which then Link and Yuga fight, and Link manages to beat Yuga, but Yuga turns Link into a painting as well, leaving him there. And then all of a sudden, Ravio's bracelet that was given to him lights up, and Link pops out of the wall. And then he ends up finding Sahasa at the entrance of the castle.
Real quick.
Palace. Entrance of the palace. Before hearing an earthquake near Hyrule Castle.
Real quick, do we know where Ravio's bracelet came from, or is it not given a origin?
Pretty sure it's from Hyrule, my assumption.
From Hyrule, right? Do we know like who made it, or if like Ravio made it, or if it's just unknown?
As far as I'm aware, no. It's just like this magical bracelet.
Okay.
That Ravio was given to him. Like I'll look it up right now, but I don't. I'm looking up Ravio's bracelet. I'm not getting anything of like origins for it. I don't know, unless you're finding something I don't, but I'm not getting anything. It's just some sort of magical bracelet that allows them to turn in and out of a painting. Which I should state, Link does get the ability to turn into a painting on the walls whenever he wants to. No.
So what I'm reading, this is off the Zelda wiki, off the Zelda universe, so I would assume this is a fairly reliable source. It states that so we don't have an origin, but it does say that the bracelet has the power to transport the wielder between dimensions.
Yeah.
Which is definitely something akin to like something the sages could do. So I wonder if it was made by a sage from Hyrule, or maybe even Hyrule and it ended up in Hyrule. It's got also important to note the design has like a Sheikah eyeball on it. So could have been made by a Sheikah as well potentially. I mean, a lot of artifacts were Sheikah origin or interloper origin, so it could have been either. Or it could be from Hyrule's equivalent of either or. Anyways, sorry for my little side rant there, but if you want to continue, you can.
Which then Link goes to investigate the earthquake, which turns out Yuga put up a barrier around Hyrule Castle, which Sahasa is really worried about the Pendant of Courage because he believes it's still inside, which then Link reveals to him that he has it, and then Sahasa tasks him with going to get the other two pendants from the House of Gales and the Tower of Hera, so he can get the Master Sword to try to break the barrier and save Zelda. Which then, after obtaining all three of the Pendants of Virtues, Link ventures into the Lost Woods, gets the Master Sword, which then returns to Hyrule Castle, which then he destroys the barrier to save the sages, and Link confronts Yuga while doing this near the top of the tower, which then Yuga turns Zelda into a painting as well. And then there's another Link and Yuga battle, and then Yuga flees through a crack on the wall. Ends up fleeing through a crack on the wall because Link would have defeated him, obviously, because Yuga sucks. I think he's probably like...
Discount Ganon.
yeah, which then Link follows him, only to find him, only to realize that he's in an alternate world called Hyrule, which is a dimension opposite to Hyrule, which is on the verge of ruin and is where Yuga is from, which in the throne room, Yuga revives Ganon with the painting and fuses with him to obtain the Triforce of Power.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna intercept one more time. I'm so sorry.
Yep.
I just want to put a footnote. I'm not gonna dive deeper into, but this is an important footnote for something I'm going to kind of dive into later. When we come to Hyrule, now I have seen. I may not have played Legend of Generals, but I still know a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Hyrule is physically falling apart, right?
Yeah.
Like it is.
It is.
It's not just falling apart. It's like specifically being pulled inwards, right? Like it's imploding almost, right? Yeah. Okay. We're gonna put a footnote in that for later. But if you want to kind of continue and explain why Hyrule is falling apart, I think that will kind of help. Also, we do also have to get through Triforce Heroes and Echoes of Wisdom and so on. So, not to speed you up or anything, but I do want to make sure we have enough time in this episode as well.
Which then, which while he's there, Yuga revives Ganon, fuses to obtain the Triforce of Power, which Link is almost doomed until Princess Hilda appears and imprisons Yuga. She then which then Link then has to go and save the 7 sages if he wishes to save their worlds from Yuga. But the reason that the Hyrule is falling apart is because Hyrule's Triforce was destroyed. So they don't have a Triforce to keep their world like in balance, I guess would be the best way to describe that.
Well, if you remember, we got some new lore for the Triforce thanks to Echoes of Wisdom that kind of implies that
the Triforce holds null.
Not only null, but also the Tris. And so if the Triforce is destroyed, the Tris lose their power to protect the world. And they're the ones actually protecting the world and keeping it from, being destroyed. And then we'll come back to that once we get to Echoes of Wisdom. But I'll let you continue.
Yeah, which then when Link saves all the 7 sages, he's gifted the Triforce of Courage, which then he returns to Hyrule Castle to confront Yuga for the final time, only for Hilda to end up betraying him after explaining why Hyrule is falling apart and everything with the Triforce.
Okay.
Which it was destroyed because it was causing conflict within people. And so, Hilda wanted Hyrule's Triforce to save Hyrule, which is why she then takes Zelda's Triforce of Wisdom, which is why she had taken Zelda's Triforce of Wisdom and is going to try to take Link's, which Link and Yuga battle once more, but then...
Is that why they break Ganon's seal to get his Triforce of Power?
Yes, because he has the Triforce of Power.
I did not know that.
Which then, Yuga then ends up betraying Hilda and takes the Triforce of Wisdom from her, and now he has 2 pieces of the Triforce, which obviously he's planning to take Link's to remake Hyrule in his image. And then they have a final battle, which Zelda gives Link the Bow of Light, which they can use to get Yuga out of his painted form, which after a pretty hard fight, in my opinion, was decently hard. Yuga is finally defeated, with Zelda free, but Hilda is still very desperate to save her kingdom. And then, obviously, they start arguing. Then Ravio shows up and reveals to be Link's Hyrulean counterpart, which then he explains to Hilda. Which then, he's like, "This is the exact reason why this chaos started in the first place. Triforce started being destroyed in the first place because obviously, Zelda and Zelda fighting, they're fighting." And then, realizing the error of their ways, Hilda sends Link and Zelda home through Hyrule's version of the Sacred Realm. Which it is revealed that through the crack on the large slab, that is where Hilda and Yuga first felt the presence of the other Triforce, which led them to devise their plan to steal it. Ravio,
that would mean they're both Triforce sensitive, which would be more evidence for Yuga potentially being the Ganondorf of this universe, because he would be Triforce sensitive.
Yeah, which Ravio... The reason Ravio came to Hyrule was to find a hero who could try to stop them, which, after Link and Zelda leave, Hyrule starts going all dark, and it's about to, collapse. And then when they return home, Link and Zelda end up in Hyrule's Sacred Realm, where the whole Triforce is there, and they both touch it. It's important that they do both touch it. And they wish for Logrule's Triforce to be restored. And it returns right in front of Hilda and Ravio, and then that Logrule is perfectly fine and stops collapse.
Yeah, because like presumably the tries are re-empowered in it.
Yep.
They repair whatever that universe's version of Null is from eating the world. Alright, so, okay, real quick. In A Link Between Worlds, Ganon is also featured as a mindless beast, right?
Yes.
Okay. Another interesting thing I want to point out is so they are summoning Ganon from Hyrule's Sacred Realm, because that's where wherever he was sealed at the end of Oracle games, not necessarily the Sacred Realm.
I would assume it was the Sacred Realm.
Well, I would argue otherwise, because why would they do that again? And B, in A Link Between Worlds, we see him rise out of and then sink back into a purple rift in the ground, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we see him because we see Ganon being pulled out and then sealed back away into this purple rift, which is really interesting because in Echoes of Wisdom, we see an echo of Ganon coming out of a purple rift, which gives Null in Hyrule the perfect opportunity to find Ganon, make an echo of him, and maybe they make a deal where maybe the reason I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit, and I'll dive more into this later. Maybe the reason that that Ganon gets released before the events of Zelda 1 is because Null and Ganon made a deal where Null was able to make a copy of Ganon, and in exchange, Null helped Ganon break free. Yeah. Because we still don't know why Null has a copy of Ganon, because we know that in order to make a copy of something, they have to physically see and copy that thing. Which means they would have to have which means Null has to have physically met Ganon and copied him. If we continue by that logic. Yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to state. It's very interesting. But if you want to wrap up A Link Between Worlds and head into Triforce Heroes.
Well, that's basically about it, I'm going to be honest. I don't think there's much too much now.
Another thing is we meet an old man in A Link Between Worlds, don't we? Who is either stated to be or implied to be Link from...
Yeah, no, it is. It is heavily implied.
Yeah, he's got the Master Sword and everything, doesn't he?
Yeah. I don't remember if he has the Master Sword.
Because he at least trains Link in the same way that the Hero Shade does. Which is very cool, because it maybe implies that after Link's awakening, that Link retires, settles down in Kakariko Village, and then helps train the new Link in A Link Between Worlds. And then Link in A Link Between Worlds goes off on his own second quest, doesn't he?
Yep. Oh yeah, I forgot. Triforce Heroes and I keep thinking it's Echoes of Wisdom next. Yep. Which then leads into there's Triforce Heroes, which
the most important game in the entire Zelda timeline.
I don't even remember the villain's name. It's such a forgettable thing.
I totally remember the villain's name. Searches Google very aggressively. Who is the villain in Triforce?
It takes place in a different kingdom than Hyrule. The kingdom of Hytopia, which is all about fashion.
Lady Maud is her name.
Maud?
Yeah, M-A-U-D.
Okay. Which is all about fashion, fashion's so important. And so then this witch, Maud, curses the princess of that land to forever look ugly and be in ugly outfits. And it's just like this just plain white dress thing with like covers up her hair as well.
Jumpsuit, isn't it? It's like
it's
jumpsuit.
Yeah, it's just something like brown or white. Which then
there's nothing stopping her from wearing clothes over it.
Well, I don't know if she's able to from the curse. I don't remember, but she's like all crying about it. And so then the kingdom's like, we need a hero who has luscious, flowing sideburns. There we go. And like, I think that another part was like brown hair, or not brown hair, but like whatever the hair,
they're basically
blue eyes,
like the stereotypical teenage Hollywood protagonist character.
Yeah, like just a description of Link, basically. So there's somebody who are like, oh, I want to fight, but I don't have the flowy sideburns or some of these things, and then Link shows up, and they're like, that's exactly who we're looking for.
Oh my god.
And then there's, I don't know which one is necessarily canon, if it's more Link's type, if the two other, if either purple and blue Link hero show up to help, or if it's they created, because at least in the single player, it's you have two other little dolls that you can like swap your soul into. And so I'm not too sure which one's the canon.
I actually have a whole episode planned on like maybe trying to explain what the other two Links are.
Yeah.
Which is the only episode we're ever going to do on Triforce Heroes. I hope you all know, but it's going to be coming.
God, I hate Triforce Heroes. Hate that game.
You know I have to have you as the guest on that due to your knowledge of the game, right?
Yeah.
Or not a guest, but you have to be on that episode. Oh,
I know.
Guys.
And then they go around all over the world defeating monsters, and they eventually defeat Maud, and the curse is lifted, and everyone's happy, and they live happily ever after. And it's so separated. It's not like an important story. Hytopia is basically never mentioned again.
Alrighty, well, with those two games covered, shall I go ahead and cover the events of Echoes of Wisdom?
Be my guess.
Alrighty, so
Echo your wisdom.
After the events of A Link Between Worlds and Triforce Heroes, Hyrule kind of further continues into its golden age, and we see Hyrule progress. A few generations later, where the events of Echoes of Wisdom pick up, we see that Hyrule has flourished. They've built new settlements. The Gorons, the Zora, and even the Gerudo have returned to Hyrule. I mean, it's once again a prospering kingdom. It is a very, it's almost as grand as the Hyrule of old at this point, if not maybe even more so at this point. It's definitely entered into the most glorious form that we see Hyrule in this timeline at least. But we do know, thanks to that potential rift in the Link Between Worlds, that the entity Null, who, if you remember all the way back from our second ever episode, is an ancient, eldritch, sentient black hole that the gods sealed deep inside the planet. It's literally at the core of the planet itself. We touched on Null's existence in the adult timeline episode as well, theorizing that the black hole that we see in the demon realm is Null. And we see Null again in this game. He's actually the main antagonist. As we know, Null, at some point while Ganon was sealed away, met Ganon and created a copy of him. Then Null slowly begins stealing the tries. So, if you remember, the tries were created by the Golden Goddesses specifically to repair the damages that Null causes to the planet. And so whenever Null tries to tear a hole in reality, the tries go in there and they patch up and they fix it. Which is why Lorule was falling apart, because with their Triforce destroyed, the tries did not have any more power, could not repair anything, and Null began breaking free in that reality, at least until their Triforce was repaired, and the tries in that universe were able to repair everything that Null had broken, or at least whatever that world's equivalent of Null would be. Of course, that's all speculative, but I mean, I think it's a fairly safe assumption to jump to, but, at the end of the day, take it with a grain of salt. But then in Echoes of Wisdom, we see Null trying a new plan to escape, where he's intentionally creating a tears in reality to get the tries to come and fix it, and then he snatches the tries, and he takes them, and he devours them, like he would anything else, and they're part of him now. Anything he eats becomes part of him. So he eats enough tries to gain their copy ability, copies a echo of Ganon, and potentially makes an agreement to set him free, as we discussed earlier. And then with this copy, he begins tearing holes in reality. And for a while, the Kingdom of Hyrule has troubles. The king and the monarchy is trying to figure out how to stop these rifts and where they're coming from. And there's a young boy from Southern Village named Link. And this incarnation of Link is actually going on a quest to figure out where the rifts are coming from and how to stop them. Eventually, he succeeds in finding out that the rifts are being created by this demon king known as Ganon with his magic trident. and he goes on a quest to defeat Ganon. He eventually makes it to his temple, where he finds that Ganon has kidnapped the Princess of Hyrule, and he goes to slay Ganon. But as he goes and lands the final blow on Ganon, Ganon starts laughing hysterically before disappearing into a cloud of smoke, leaving behind just his trident, which creates a tear in reality, a rift as they're called, that Link gets pulled into, but not before he is able to shoot an arrow and free Zelda from her magic crystal. Zelda then is able to escape, seeing this mysterious warrior fall into a rift, picks up his cloak, and runs from the temple, which is currently being sucked into a tear in reality. She's able to escape, return to the castle, and she goes on a quest to save this knight, going through various temples and dungeons, trying to figure out what happened to him and seal these rifts in the process. Along the way, she meets an individual known as Tri, who basically tells her that the Tris are, who normally repair these rifts, but they can't because all of Tri's siblings are being stolen away. So they then have to go on a quest to rescue Link and figure out what's happening to the Tris. In the process, they meet back up with Ganon, who is inside a tear in reality that absorbs Hyrule Castle, and they defeat Ganon, but not before learning that Ganon was actually not the real Ganon, but an echo created by Null, the sentient black hole, the eldritch being at the center of the universe. And so they then have to go on a quest to get to the Triforce, because they learned that Null is trying to get to the Triforce to free himself. So they had to go on a quest to get the Triforce first and use it to stop Null. So it's kind of a race at this point to release the Golden Goddesses, get permission to get the Triforce, make it to the hidden Triforce chamber that we see all the way back in the Oracle games, and unfortunately Null beats them there using an echo of Zelda, and is able to lay their hand on the Triforce. But Null is way too hateful and filled with too much malice that he only gets the Triforce of Power, and the other two go to Link and Zelda respectively. So Null captures Link and takes him down to the Still World, to the void at the center of the planet, and Zelda has to follow chase. Zelda then frees Link, and both of them team up to travel deep inside of Null's body and defeat Null by destroying its heart. Once they do that, they basically beat the crap out of Null's heart until it's just barely on the floor, begging for mercy before they steal the Triforce of Power from Null and complete the Triforce and wish for the eradication of Null completely, removing him entirely from this timeline at least. And then we see shortly afterwards Hyrule go into another era of prosperity, continuing its golden age. What's interesting is that we do know that since Null and Ganon hadn't met up, that they potentially made a deal, and maybe Null helped Ganon escape, or potentially, maybe if Ganon is still sealed away inside the Still World, with Null being defeated, the Still World would now be broken, and Ganon would be free to just leave if he is still stuck down there. We have proof of neither. We don't have any physical evidence of neither, but they are fairly safe assumptions to jump to, I believe. I mean, what do you think, Connor?
I think so.
Yeah, because we know Ganon has to find a way somehow getting out of the Still World and back to Hyrule.
I would assume this is how.
But then afterwards, we can pretty safely assume that after the events of Echoes of Wisdom is when the events is that when the Golden Age that we get spoken of in Zelda 2's manual take place. So the King of Hyrule, maybe even the same king from Echoes of Wisdom, maybe a descendant, dies, and his son, the prince, the king knows he's going to die. And keep in mind, the royal family has access to the full Triforce. They're the only ones who know where the Triforce is. But the king's son, the prince, is the next in line to become the next heir. But the prince is filled with hate and malice, and he's not fit to rule, and the king knows this. So he actually splits the Triforce into three in order to prevent his son from ever being able to locate the full Triforce, because he doesn't trust that he can be trusted with the full Triforce. So he splits the Triforce. He only tells his daughter Zelda where one of the where the Triforce of Courage is, and the other two Triforces. The Triforce of Wisdom is kept with the Monarch, and the Triforce of Courage is sent out to find the soul of the hero. Now, it is at this point when after the king dies and the prince is set to inherit the kingdom and the Triforce, he learns what the king did, and he becomes filled with rage. He hires a dark wizard who may or may not be a puppet of Ganon, depending on what you want to believe, to try and get the Triforce of Wisdom or get the Triforce of Courage from Zelda, but Zelda refuses to tell him where it's at. Also believing that he's not worthy of the Triforce. And so, filled with rage, the prince tells the dark wizard to cast a spell on Zelda until she'll tell him where it's at. But the dark wizard goes a bit overboard and casts a spell on Zelda that will make her sleep forever until the Triforce is put back together. So, afterwards, without the use of the Triforce, we see conflict rise in Hyrule, and there's some tension forming. And it is at this time when Ganon presumably breaks free from his seal and terrorizes the kingdom, completely destroying the kingdom. We know that due to the lack of the Triforce, because the Triforce is now split away, nobody knows where the separate parts are. Nobody can get the Triforce to stop Ganon. And for whatever reason, maybe because Zelda is asleep, or maybe because an incarnation of Link fails, like previously in this timeline, but either Link dies or there is no Link during this period. And Ganon is able to completely decimate Hyrule and destroy everything. This is probably one of the worst instances of Ganon taking over we ever see, because he doesn't just take over the kingdom. Remember, this is specifically the Ganon after he was resurrected by Twinrova. So he's completely mindless. He knows nothing but rage and hatred. He's a mindless killing machine in control of an army of monsters and demons at this point. So when he's brought back, he does nothing but genocide. He doesn't want to take over. He doesn't want the Triforce. All he wants to do is kill and slaughter. So once he's brought back to the surface, he goes around and he just completely eradicates the kingdom of Hyrule. It is, by the time we see it in Zelda 1, shambles. The castle and the castle town are completely destroyed. Every single settlement is wiped from the face of the kingdom, and he reigns over the ashes of the wasteland that was once Hyrule with an iron fist. That is until Impa, who is trying to flee the country, stumbles upon a young boy named Link, who helps her with a monster encounter, because Ganon is trying to capture Impa, and so Link takes out the monsters and helps Impa. Impa then tells this boy Link that he must be the reincarnation of the hero, and that he's got to go stop Ganon and save the princess. So Link goes on this quest to repair the Triforce of Wisdom, because Zelda, before this incarnation of Zelda, which is separate from the one who went to sleep, it's important to know, there's a few generations later, this Zelda split the Triforce of Wisdom into shards to prevent Ganon from getting it. So Link has to go get the Triforce of Wisdom, put it back together, and then acquire the light arrows from A Link to the Past and use them to defeat Ganon. He is fortunately successful in finding Ganon and completely defeating him, ending his reign over Hyrule and freeing Zelda. And for a time, the kingdom sees a relative peace. Monsters are still everywhere. They're still running amok. People are still living in caves, but there is new settlements that are beginning to emerge. We see they go back to the ruins of Hyrule Castle. They establish a new base there. We see small settlements pop up over the land of Hyrule, and it is slowly rebuilding to what it once was. But then we see that the remains of Ganon's army, no longer Twinrova at this point, because Twinrova is dead, so they don't know how, but they try and revive Ganon. and they don't know exactly how, but they think they have to kill Link and take his blood and ashes and sprinkle them over the corpse of Ganon. We don't know if this would actually work or not because we previously know what Twinrova had to do to revive Ganon. But the monsters are doing their best, so they're hunting down Link, and Link learns from Impa about not the original Zelda, but one of the older Zeldas who fell into a deep slumber, and goes to collect the Triforce of Courage in order to put the Triforce back together and wake up this Princess Zelda, so that her and the other Zelda can fight over dominance of Hyrule. Or, if you'd rather be lame and believe that they work together to let the kingdom prosper. Personally, I believe they fight over the kingdom and let everything crumble. But that's up to interpretation, I guess. But Link goes on a quest. He encounters Dark Link, who is like a final trial put by the ancient king to protect the Triforce of Courage from any wrongdoers. And Dark Link, so Dark Link and Shadow Link are different. We talked about Shadow Link in our child timeline video. Dark Link is separate, whereas Shadow Link is specifically a like entity replicating Link, like an evil force. Dark Link is literally Link's inner evil and malice-filled thoughts manifest. So it's not a separate entity pretending to be Link. It is literally Link's dark side. And so Link has to face his literal dark side to cleanse himself in order to take the Triforce of Courage, bring it back to Zelda, and wish for her to wake up and... or not even wish, because the curse just states that the Triforce has to be put back together in order for her to wake up. And after that, that kind of ends off this timeline. We don't know if Hyrule continues to grow or if it continues to decline after this, but that is the latest point that we know of in this timeline branch. I think it's definitely a very interesting one. Did you have any thoughts, Connor?
No, I don't think I really got anything. I think I covered everything pretty well. I don't know, I'm not a big Zelda 1 guy, as you know.
I should let you cover Zelda 2 since you're kind of more of a Zelda 2 guy. I apologize.
I don't know as much about the story. I've never read the manual.
Yeah, the manual definitely has a lot, and it like kind of...
Yeah. I never read it.
Most of the story of Zelda 2 and Zelda 1 come from their manuals. I do really like the concept of this Ganon's completely decimating Hyrule, destroying it entirely. I thought that was really cool. And I will say the final boss of this entire timeline being Dark Link is a little bit lackluster, but also kind of fitting.
What do you mean a little bit lackluster? It's like the hardest boss fight in the entirety of Zelda.
It is the hardest boss fight, but like from a canonical perspective, at least like we finally kill Ganon. He's gone. That feels like it should be the end of the timeline. And then we have here's a side story where Dark Link's here now.
Epilogue, you know.
Yeah, fair, true. It is definitely a cool fight though, and it is definitely cool to have that kind of explanation on Dark Link, especially if you're playing the game in canonical order and not release order, because you kind of get that like, oh, that's what Dark Link has been this whole time. And so it's kind of that cool final reveal, and it is kind of a cool... Zelda 2 is definitely good at kind of tying up the loose ends of this timeline, like of what happened to the Triforce, Ganon's army, that sort of stuff.
Zelda 2 is a good game.
Yeah. That is the end of this timeline branch as we know it, and that actually covers the entire original timeline. That now covers the pre-split timeline, the child timeline, the adult timeline, and the downfall timeline. So next episode we'll be covering Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and potentially Age of Calamity. We'll debate if we think that's part of the continuity or not. And we'll
think so. Personally, I don't think so.
We'll get into all of that in the next episode, and we'll kind of debate where we think those two games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, take place in the Zelda timeline, and where we think they might fall. But that's gonna be all for today's episode. Is there any final notes you have, Connor, that you want to add?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Alright, well, in that case, that's where we'll end today's episode. Hopefully we'll see all of you next week, where we talk about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. But until then, if y'all want to join the discussion or ask us any questions, you're more than welcome to join the Discord linked below, or you can email us at mysteriesofhyrule@gmail.com. And until then, we'll see you all later. So y'all have a good one. Bye.
Bye bye.
Hey, that's my line.